Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and last September, to celebrate LEGO Fan Media Days at the home of LEGO in Billund, Denmark, I got a chance to see the official unveiling of a brand new LEGO Marvel set, the first in what will presumably be a whole series of sets like these, and that is the Iron Man bust. Instead of the helmets, which were large-scale builds of a character's helmet, this is a little bit smaller in scale for the head, but also includes the torso and shoulders of the character. And I feel like this opens up a lot of really exciting possibilities for different characters they could make out of LEGO. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the LEGO helmet series. I've collected every single one, from Star Wars to Marvel and everything in between from what they've done for the series, but this is something new, and I think it's about time for something new. So let's jump in right now to see the designers reveal this set, and also join me for an exclusive interview with the LEGO designers about how this was made, and as well as checking out some prototypes of the model itself. Let's jump in right now.
I'm Mark Stafford. I've been at LEGO for quite a while. I'm in the superheroes team.
And I'm quite a recent contribution to the superhero team. My name is Petra, and I'm also a model designer.
So this is a set we worked on together. We're pretty happy with it. It's for the midpoint. Shall we show it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh!
So this is the Iron Man bust, the first of a series of LEGO superheroes sets. This is probably the furthest out of any set you'll see today. It's not out till the 1st of June next year.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually so far out, it's still in development, so there may be some changes to this before it comes out. But you get a very good idea of what it'll look like here.
Looking right at me.
He does that.
Light brick.
There is no light brick in this. It's just, thanks to Petra, we figured out a way to do the little missile launchers in the shoulder.
Oh, cool.
And we've got a couple of air brakes on the back here. And of course the head can be moved around so you can stare you in the face wherever you want.
Is this fun to be a series?
That's the idea, yes. That's about all I can say on that.
How did you determine the scale and the size? Like what led you to settle on this size?
We tried different sizes, and this was the one that felt right to get the proportions of the head and also the body shape.
We actually had a bit of a challenge getting this built. So in actual fact, I think 4 or 5 of the LEGO superheroes designers built a version of the head. And we had all of these. Those of you interviewing us later will see some of them. And then Petra chose the bits she liked, and we amalgamated them all into this.
Yeah, hi. Emily from Msaurus. I'm curious, roughly how many pieces are in this?
Oh, I forgot to take a note.
We will come back to you on that.
I'm so sorry.
Yes, but a really good question.
What Iron Man is the figure, and then also figures included in sets like this? This is kind of new. Could you talk about that a little bit?
This is Iron Man Mark IV, in this particular one.
That's the one from the very beginning of the Iron Man 2 movie. And yeah, we just asked our graphic designer about this actually, Adam Corbally. He was saying it's an iconic looking Iron Man that works well with the bust, but one that I don't think we've done before. So it's new to this set.
Yeah.
Graham from Blocks Magazine. When you're designing a set for a new series like this, and you are exploring those different, like how many different scales and things do you try? How many different sketch models do you have before you actually kind of narrow it down?
I think it can vary a lot. Like in this case, we had the whole team basically trying different sizes and versions and stuff. And then I think it's just the deadline that pretty much is the thing that keeps you from now we need to make a decision.
And do you focus on this one set, or do you think about kind of future-proofing it for other characters that you might do, other expressions of the armor and things?
It was definitely, we were thinking about future, but mainly when it came to the stand. I mean, it was making sure that this stand was appropriate for almost every character we could think a bust could be made for, across any superhero.
But I think also, like in this case, you don't see like human flesh in that sense, but you need to like think about that if there would be something similar in the future. So you would have to like future-proof the concept works.
It's not like the helmet line in this case because it's a bust. It's like, is there a way to do a human face? And we don't know yet.
Thank you.
It's MCU based. Was there ever a consideration to go the comics route?
There might have been. Yes, we looked at that. One of the sketch models, which we'll show some of you later, is definitely in bright red and yellow, just so it was close to the comic book. We did consider that, but this is the more iconic version of the character, and we'll always, generally in a line like this, we'll go for the most iconic, and most people know him from the movies.
Daniel with blocks again. Did you ever try any versions where the faceplate opened?
We didn't do it personally. I don't know if any of our colleagues tried it.
I don't think so, because the construction inside the head, because it's going in so many directions and it's actually more compact than a brick head, means that you just don't have the space to do something. And what would we show? Because it's a bust, we'd have to then build Tony Stark's face as well, which is, yeah, good luck with that.
Is there a working name for the collection? Like bust collection?
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah.
You named it.
Okay, we got time for one more question.
I think it looks perfect and I like it more than the helmets, to be honest. Is there any information or clue you have when it comes to Star Wars 2?
We won't even talk about the future of superheroes. There's no way I'm going near the future.
Nice try.
But yeah, good try. Really.
Star Wars team. I made a better one.
And I did the helmet,
Question,
so
you can have
that,
another one too if you want.
Do you mind giving us just another 360?
I could do that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's not so much of a question, but a show and tell.
Any color changes here to dark red?
Yes, a few. The new semicircle, the quarter circle is new in dark red. We've got it on my shoulders and the head. And there's a few other bits. But like I say, this is still a work in progress. There may be some changes to the colours before it actually comes out as well. There's still some discussions on that. So yeah, by the 1st of June next year, you'll see the final one. Should be like this, but we'll see.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, big thank you to Mark and Petra of the LEGO Superheroes team for showcasing this model to us. It definitely was really interesting seeing them branch out into a new style of build, and we actually have an in-depth interview coming right up later on in this video, which I was really excited to conduct because I, for one, have been really interested in the state of the superheroes theme, and I wanted to ask a lot of questions about the direction they're taking the theme, the models, the playsets, and everything, so getting a chance to sit down with 2 members of the superheroes team itself was really, really cool, and there's a lot of really interesting insights they provided. So, without further ado, let's jump on into the in-depth interview and also take a look at some of the prototypes of this model.
All right, hey guys, we are here at LEGO headquarters for Fan Media Days. I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about what your role is at LEGO and this great Iron Man set.
My name is Petra, and I'm a model designer for superheroes.
My name's Mark. I've been a LEGO designer for 18 years now, and I'm a senior designer on LEGO Superheroes too.
Awesome.
And for Petra's first LEGO set, I was the mentor.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
amazing.
This is so exciting, it's your first set.
Yeah, it is.
Awesome. Well, this is definitely new. We've had helmets in the LEGO Superheroes collection before, but not necessarily a bust quite like this. Of course, there was the Black Panther bust, which was yours, Mark.
Yes.
Did the Black Panther bust concept influence the birth of this concept at all?
Not really, no. No, it was a very different scale, and no, I don't think so. Although Did it?
I don't think so. I mean, the previous person who we're also interviewing were asking a similar question, but I think that's the first time we hear it in that consensus,
Yeah.
at least for me. So in any way, I think like previous models should have impact on what we do in the future, of course. So
Sure.
yeah.
Where did the idea come from then?
It came from one of our other designers, Tin, who built this as a sketch model idea.
Wow. Yeah, and you can see how the evolution went. If it's okay, there are actually a lot of models over here. If you could kind of cycle them through.
Sure.
If there's
like we
an
said,
order of development, that'd be fascinating
that's
to see
like, yeah,
too.
this was the first concept. This was Tin's model. And, you know, the idea was liked. I think we didn't know exactly how it would look, right? So a whole bunch of us built versions of the head. This was actually the one by me. And Petra made one. Tin made another one. Junior made one. Who else?
Grabowski made.
Adam Grabowski,
Yeah.
he made a version. We had a whole bunch. Some were 6 wide, some were 4 wide, like this. And basically, as it was going to be Petra's first set that she worked on, she got to choose which ones we would bring together. And this was a fairly early one. Both of these actually were around the same time. When we were bringing together, you know, you can see this was a development of the one I'd done, and this was a version of Tin's head, which is the one I think you actually chose to take forward. And we started bringing them together, and this version here, which is in a more comic book color version, was about a third of the way in when you started with the angles and stuff and trying to make this look as close to how Robert Downey Jr.'s suit looks as possible.
And it's fascinating for the viewers out there to see how on this model
I was just
the
about to
shoulder
point that out.
pieces are hand painted.
So I was wondering how long the development cycle
Yeah.
was, because obviously we got those with the Iron Man figure, but that must mean that was before that was produced.
Yes, I mean there's a lot of pieces here which are spray painted. I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, that's fairly common. We have a room full of paints at Lego, a spray room, and they are specifically mixed by a paint company to be the colours that match the Lego bricks. So we can go and spray things all the time. In fact, we do often go and spray things.
Fascinating. And it's cool to see too that maybe by the time you got to this one, that piece does exist in red now because of the Spider-Man figure. So that kind of gives you a timeline of how, you know, long this may or may not have been worked on. It's really fascinating.
That's true. I think it's also interesting how like the body is evolving during the time, like going from this model where it shows quite a lot of the body to these versions where it's very slimmed down.
Yeah.
And just trying to find the balance of what works, like how much of the shoulder should we show, and yeah.
Something else that was fascinating during the reveal you guys did earlier today is that this version, which of course is not the final version, but pretty close to it, it could evolve still from what we're seeing on camera right now.
Yes.
Good, yes.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. As we can see too, there's the one right behind it that has the Sharpied in Mark III. At what point in conversation did the minifigure element get added into the final set? Because of course we've had helmets before, and Star Wars has had helmets as well. Never came with minifigures.
Nope.
And I've said for years, the one thing about the helmet series is it would be so cool to include a minifigure, and I literally cannot thank you guys enough for thinking of the fans enough to include that here. So was that something that you were championing from the beginning, or once this got some steam you're like, hey, we can actually put minifigs in here in these sorts of sets?
As I remember it wasn't in the beginning. Like we tried different stands and just like focused on how should we build it, and like should we do it similar to what already exists, or should we go a new way? And with our creative lead, I remember saying like we should try something new. And then during that process, I think somewhere along the way, the minifigure.
Well, I don't know. It's here on the first sketch, but as you can see, it's not on this version. So at that point, we weren't thinking about it. By the time we started bringing them together, we do have him back. So I think from fairly early on, I think the minifigure was decided to be there. And I seem to remember it was because there'd been a lot of feedback about no minifigures in the helmets.
Well, on behalf of all the superhero fans out there, thank you so much for listening to us and thinking of us, because that is, I don't want to say a pain point, but it is something that's been in conversation since that first Iron Man helmet years ago. So,
Which I did, so
Yes.
and I wish I'd had some of these shapes and somebody like Petra telling me when I'd got it wrong as well.
So how long have you been working for Lego?
Only for a bit more than 6 months.
Wow,
So I'm very,
okay.
very new. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
What an incredible first model. I mean, this must have been a really exciting project for you to just jump on immediately.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely. And I don't really have that much building experience from before. I come from a designer background. So just approaching this in a different way. And I had to, of course, collaborate a lot with my colleagues who are really great builders. But I think just pushing our heads together on this was really, really interesting. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was so much fun for me because I got stuck in a rut of like, this is how you build Lego. And Petra coming in with just designer eyes and saying, well, no, this needs to be this much lower. And I'm like, that's half a plate. How do I do half a plate lower? And it's like, and then I'm like, oh, I could, if we built that bit upside down, then maybe we could do that.
Right.
And it's and that was the thing. And my building skills were pushed so hard by Petra's vision, and I really had so much fun doing this because of that.
Is this the first time that you've been a mentor to a designer before? Or?
No, I've been mentored to many designers.
But Petra's just special.
It
brought a new perspective in.
Something here clicked in the design process for this model.
Nice.
Of being pushed. I think it was quite. You've only been here 6 months, and this is basically the final model. So it did have quite a short turnaround, and that might have been part of it.
That's incredible. Well, earlier during the reveal, you had alluded to the fact that this could potentially kick off a series of busts like this. Needless to say, you also mentioned that doing face characters would be a whole nother
Very
level
difficult.
of difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be so fascinating to see how you could tackle that.
Good luck.
Yeah, honestly.
If you have a solution, please let me know.
Oh, great, I sure will.
Because it's difficult being only 4 wide and then you've got a nose. Yeah, that makes things very challenging.
And then you have characters like Spider-Man, who has a pretty rounded head that would work, but then you have to think about the webbing, and would you do printed pieces for that? We got that Spider-Man helmet that had some printed webbing,
lot
but not
bigger
all.
Yeah. The helmets allow you to have, either stickers or prints that will allow you to do the webbing. When you get down to this scale, what would we do? And that's
so many small pieces.
Yeah. But that's the thing. When decisions were made on this, it was always in the back of my mind, and I think yours as well, that this had potential to be more. And it will be.
Yeah.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah. That's about all I can say on that. But,
It does lead me down another train of thought. And, thinking of characters who have mask and, I suppose, shoulder proportions that would lend themselves well to this, I can't help but think about Deadpool. And I also can't help but think that we haven't gotten Deadpool in any Lego media in years. And I'm just curious if that's more of a Lego decision to not go around Deadpool, or does Marvel say that? Is there any kind of conversation that's had as to why Deadpool has made a disappearance?
I can't talk for Disney, so whatever the discussions have been, and again, we're personally not involved in those discussions. Deadpool is difficult for us because his iconic movies, they're world's best ever selling 18+ movie and stuff, they are all 18+, which makes it very difficult for Lego to approach. There are things within those movies we don't want kids to be watching from a Lego point of view, and I think even Disney don't want them watching some of it. But and I really love those movies, and Deadpool himself as a character in the comic books is also quite ruthless, but so funny, and sometimes he plays for jokes, and it would be nice to do one of those Deadpools, but as long as the most iconic one is 18 plus, it's going to be difficult for us.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I don't think that any Lego fans out there can't grasp why that's the case. I think it's just so many people want him, you know.
I know, and we have done a Deadpool figure in the past.
Yeah.
But it was before his first movie came out, when Deadpool was the iconic version of Deadpool was the comic one. It wasn't the swearing, murdering,
yes,
or whatever he does in the movie. Well, I know what he does in the movie.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you shedding some light on it, because I know it's not exactly the easiest thing to talk about from your standpoint, but the fans, I guarantee you, really appreciate hearing
I mean,
that perspective.
if Ryan Reynolds sees this on the internet, it would be great if he did a really kid-friendly Christmas version of Deadpool, just to be really fluffy. So if there was a really fluffy, friendly, non-violent Deadpool that becomes really popular, that would be great for us.
Well, hopefully if they include him in some of the Avengers movies or
if
Wars,
he's in Secret Wars and he's not, that bit of the movie isn't just
this
18 plus light
is R-rated and then the rest of the movie
exactly.
right.
Well, that's awesome. And again, I really appreciate you shedding some light on that.
It is difficult to say, because it's outside of a normal designer's decision making. I mean, I love Deadpool. I'd love to put him in a set. I wanted him in the Bugle, but it's.
Well, you and I, this is our third year speaking at Fan Media Days, and it's always a pleasure. I remember in our very first conversation, we were talking about some of the more obscure characters like DC and even X-Men at that point. We really hadn't gotten much X-Men again. Of course, X-Men being on the horizon, we've got the X-Men 97 X-Jet. I'm just curious, as a longtime X-Men fan and designer, how it feels to finally see those characters that you mentioned all those years ago back on store shelves.
Every time we get a test print in, I'm all over it. At Justin's desk saying, well, we've got who? Gambit now?
Yeah.
It's like, why isn't Jubilee in this? All of this stuff. Obviously, yes, I'm all over it. And I'd love. I still want. If I can get Legion of Superheroes into something, that's my.
Yes.
That would be right up there with getting Daredevil into something. Those
and hey, you already did that. So
exactly. Yes.
Anything can happen.
So that's it. If I can get Saturn Girl, Cosmic Boy.
Yes.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
To that point, when we spoke in 2022, we talked about DC and some of the struggles of getting non-Batman characters in sets. Would you say the lay of the land is still the same? Do you have any new perspective on that as the years have gone by?
I'm really, really hoping next year's Superman is amazing and launches DC into a new realm. Yes, I love that, because then it's not all Batman, or Batman adjacent, which is currently what we've got. I'd love to do, something DC with a whole load of characters.
Yeah. And just to refresh the audience that's watching this that may not have seen our interview from years ago, you had mentioned that the idea is that when there isn't DC media for general audiences to consume on big screens, it makes it difficult to rationalize doing Lego sets. Is that a good read of how things are?
Roughly. I mean, it is. Marvel currently is much more popular, and that means we're going to cater to those people more than we do the DC people, the DC fans. Sorry. I'm hopeful. I mean, every James Gunn superhero movie has been amazing, so I'm hoping it's going to be amazing. So
his track record is pretty spot on.
Yes, yeah, it is. So we'll see.
Well, as fans on the other side, knowing that you're championing, DC characters we haven't gotten.
Not just me. There's plenty of DC fans in Lego superheroes now.
Well, it's good to know, and it helps us hold on hope. With you being new to Lego and being on the superheroes team now, I'd love to hear your perspective of, were you a Lego superheroes fan before coming into the position you are now at Lego? Are you becoming more of a fan? Tell us a little bit more about your journey.
Yeah, I wasn't really a superhero fan when I joined, and I think I actually upset some of my colleagues with my no knowledge of superheroes.
Not me, I find it funny.
Yeah, I think one colleague, Bjarge, for instance, said that he almost had a heart attack when I didn't. It was, of course, a joke. But I think I bring another perspective to it, and just like being from the outside, I can see it from another view, and I think that brings a lot of value, and I'm learning so much because my colleagues have so much knowledge. And I haven't actually seen most of the Marvel and DC movies, so that's all like a big treat for me now. Yeah, and it's really, really funny.
We have been educating you.
Yeah, in so many ways, both in the building system and also in the Marvel and DC universe. So
Nobody likes taking work home, but I bet yours is pretty fun considering it's getting to watch MCU movies.
Yeah, it's super, super fun.
That's exciting. So, when you're working on a project like this, is this kind of consuming your world? Like you're just working on this project, or are you touching base on other things as you get started in your Lego journey? How does that work?
For this particular one, it was focusing only on this. I think it would have been too much when you're new to have other things as well, but the more familiar you get with the process, the design process and the building system and stuff, I think it could be nice to just bounce on and off between different models that you're working on. Definitely. But for this particular one, it has only been this as my main focus.
But whilst you were working on this, you were doing all of the training courses for starting as a Lego designer.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Wow, that's so exciting. Is there a dream theme that you'd like to work on someday?
That's a really interesting question. I think it hasn't been yet, because for me it's just like the best thing is creating something new and out of the box, and and also just like seeing, like during the kids test, for instance, when you see the kids playing with the model, that's so amazing. But I don't really have a theme yet, but if we will talk in the future, then hopefully that will be the case. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
That makes me excited to see where your career could go at Lego.
Yeah, and also I haven't finished all of the movies yet, so when I have, then I will come back.
What's been your favorite so far?
I would definitely say Iron Man. It has been really good. But yeah.
That's so exciting. I love that. I love that we're kind of having a Lego superhero renaissance lately. It feels like this year, of course, we're speaking in 2024. This video probably won't come out for quite some time yet.
I think June the 1st is currently your embargo, because that's when this comes out. I believe that might shift for you, but...
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you watching now, the X-Men mansion was just revealed. So that puts you in the timeline to think about what's out right now. With that being said, though, we've been on such a great upswing with Marvel sets and DC with Batman the Animated Series, the Skyline, everything like that. What involvement have you had, Mark, with the sets we've gotten maybe over the last year and a half? Which ones have your thumbprints on?
I would love to say all of this upswing has been me, but I was actually on Dungeons & Dragons for a good chunk of that, so it was because I wasn't there, maybe, that it
Well, to be fair, Dungeons & Dragons is rocking too, so...
Well, thank you.
And I know that's a dream project for you. I remember you mentioning
100%,
D&D
yes.
the first time we spoke.
So happy to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything from your side?
Upsprings and...
Yeah, it's because this is all. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you on that one. It's great to see what.
Do you have a favorite set that's out now? Being a superhero fan yourself,
the last superhero set I bought was the Skyline, but I haven't built it yet. I just it's in the area, in the superheroes area, and has been for various points for the last year and a half, and I'm just like, I'd quite like that at home as well. So,
I bet after looking at it for so long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, because eventually it'll go away from our area.
Sure.
But it won't go away from my house unless I drop it or something. Yeah.
So, being that you're working on this Iron Man, are you back to superheroes now?
I am on. I was never off superheroes. It was
Oh.
just I was on loan to Lego Ideas.
I see.
Much like the last time I did Lego Ideas, I was just on loan from what was it? Nexa Nights, I think.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. For those watching, if you have not looked up Mark's list of
Yeah.
sets he's worked on, I mean,
Exoforce Chima, the Mammoth Stomp. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I love that set
the
so much.
Agent's truck. I mean, it's like,
It's all the sets I grew up on. Like,
Yeah.
I just,
Thank you. You're making
those
me
are
feel
my
very
favorites.
old.
Oh.
But no, I mentioned that to you in our very first conversation that I look at my Lego journey and so many of your sets are just touch points of my life of building and collecting, and just can't be more grateful for the awesome work you've put out for all of us to enjoy over the years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not much else to say on it. Thanks.
Whoa, with the light brick.
I just noticed that, yeah,
That's
so that
very
was a
cool.
consideration.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sadly.
we also tried like glow in the dark for this element and the eyes, but it just didn't really look that good as we were
Yeah.
hoping for. So, but it was something we at least iterated on.
Fascinating. Yeah, so you've been working on this set for ages. See
Well,
it.
not more than 6 months.
That's true.
But no,
So
it-
was it in development before you joined, I presume? Or
Yeah,
did
was this done before you started, or was this done around the time?
No, I think it was when I started, the process started as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember anything much before we started on it. I think this was only built a few weeks before it was given the go-ahead to become a set. And then it was initially handed to me, but as I just started mentoring Petra, I handed it off.
That is so cool. Look how the eyes have like that little blue
Yeah.
ledge underneath.
That's
Oh,
cool.
That's so cool. Wow. Well, since I have you here, in D&D is on the rise too. What has that been like to work on D&D? I mean, I know it's something you've dreamed of for all these years.
Again, it was incredibly collaborative. Like Petra talks about this as not being her model. D&D was gives you 5 minutes. D&D wasn't my model. It was Chris, and it was Wes, and it was Jordan, and everybody else on that team, the graphic designers. Everybody gave so much input, and in actual fact, virtually everybody who has played D&D at Lego at some point came and built something. I had all of the animals that we could put all of the D&D creatures on the table
Random weird
in Atrium 1.
Smart parts.
And a load of designers came down and said, "Oh, I think I can build this and that." And so one of my players, Alice, built the first version of the owlbear, for example, and that came through. And another Ilya, he built the first gelatinous cube. So it was like all of the D&D players at Lego wanted in on this.
It's cool to know there were a lot of chefs in the kitchen cooking on that one.
It was more like I was the chef and everybody else was just coming and dumping in, like anything that looked tasty, and then
I'd say it worked.
Pick some bits out that looked good. So.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure.
No, thank
Awesome. We'll talk to you next year.
Thank you.
you. I hope so. I look forward to it.
First of all, big thank you to designers Mark and Petra for taking the time to sit down and chat with us. It's pretty rare that we get to interview LEGO designers basically one-on-one, and this was a really cool chance to talk to them not just about these individual bust sets, but also about the state of the superheroes theme. And I really feel like there's a lot of really interesting information they were able to share about why they make certain decisions, and I am just very excited to talk to them again the same time this year. Now, talking about the particular bust itself, LEGO just now revealed a couple of them, both the Iron Man bust as well as the Iron Spider-Man bust. That one's going to come out on August 1st, whereas this one comes out on June 1st, but these are both kind of going to be alongside the same idea. Now, the Iron Man bust in particular will retail for $60 US, 60 euros, or 55 British pounds, and come with 436 pieces, which, to be completely honest, is not remarkable value. The Iron Spider-Man is actually a little bit worse, same price, but for 379 pieces, and to be completely honest, I actually really liked a lot of what I was seeing in the development process for this model. Clearly, it is very difficult to nail a very expressive helmet in LEGO brick form, and I think the the Iron Man bust accomplishes this from certain angles. Like, some angles do look good, but for me, there are honestly some other angles that I definitely do feel like where it doesn't just quite look right. And to be honest, I don't really know if I can think of a way that LEGO could have done it better, especially given the building restrictions all the designers are under, making it easy for new fans of LEGO to put together, and also just something that looks good. But I just feel like from the front on, or at least from like the bottom up, it looks a little funky, but from the side, I think it does look a lot better, and there are certain angles where it really, really shines. One thing I do appreciate, though, is the fact that they are including minifigures in the busts now. For the helmet series, we never got minifigures included in those sets, and it always felt to me like a big missed opportunity because it's really cool to display the minifigure version of a model right next to the scaled up version, and it's something I wish that LEGO would homogenize across all of their 18+ more display-oriented sets. Just throwing in a minifigure where appropriate, whether it should be the Star Wars Mini-Scale series or just the helmet collection in general, I think that would be really, really nice, and I'm very glad they did it for this. Now, of course, this is not the only bust we're going to be getting. We're also getting that Iron Spider-Man bust, which we didn't see back at Fan Media Days, but has just been revealed today at the same time, so I figured why not loop that into this interview video. That's set number 76326, and it's coming out on August 1st, and to be completely honest, I like the Iron Man one a lot more than the Iron Spider-Man one. And I think the reason behind that is because I really feel like the Iron Man one captures a lot of the really cool details of Iron Man, like you just saw in that video, where you have the pop-up guns and the flaps on the back and the movable head, but then the Iron Spider-Man one just feels a little funky, especially when it comes to the face area. The one thing I do want to call out is that it genuinely uses what looks to be some pretty impressive building techniques to brick build the actual Spider-Man logo. I think a lesser set could have easily done a cop-out and just printed pieces to make it work, but they went all the way. They decided to just brick build all of the detail on this piece, other than just a little tiny kind of coloration to have a gold outline around the dark blue, as well as to have some printed stuff for the eyes and the head, but the torso actually looks really good. It's just the head that bothers me a little bit because it just doesn't feel quite right, like Spider-Man. And I think the closer you get to it and the more zoomed in you get to the facial features, it just doesn't look quite right. But honestly, the body is so good that I'd be really curious to see some AFOLs try their hand at maybe making a mock version that probably will be a lot more fragile than this, have a lot more pieces, and I do understand why they couldn't do that for a set like this, but I definitely do feel like the head could have used just a few more iterations in the oven, because I feel like, especially with the talent that went into making the torso, the designers could have really cooked on the head, but it ends up looking like it could have used a bit more time in the kitchen. That's all I have to say about these. I'll have a lot more thoughts to share when I actually receive an early copy of these sets to review, if I do actually receive them, and let me know in the comments if you do want to see an in-depth review on both of these, because I definitely do have a lot more thoughts to say, especially about the values. So certainly looking forward to displaying them. I think they look decent, not amazing, and I'm very excited to see where they take this series in the future, because I can absolutely think of a ton of different characters they could do this for that would just look really, really cool. Not even just in the Marvel theme. Like, I'd love a Batman bust. I'm sure they're gonna do that because it's kind of the next obvious thing, and I'd even love to see them branch out from other superhero related stuff. Like, doing a Darth Vader in this scale could be really interesting, and I know it'll never happen, but getting something from an original theme in this scale would be super cool as well. Like, give us maybe a giant bust of one of the ninja from Ninjago, or one of the villains who has a helmet on. I think that could be really cool. They could even do something like this for LEGO Fortnite. Really, the possibilities are endless, and I am just excited to see if these take off, where are they gonna go? But will they take off at $60 a pop with that piece count? I don't know. That's all for this video. Thanks so much for tuning in, and be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Bye for now.